Howdy mates, how are we doing? It is Saturday, March 25th, 2023, and I'm going to say for this particular park, I don't really want to disclose the location, just because it doesn't really get busy here, and there are different forms of wildlife that do inhabit this area that would otherwise be difficult to see if there were a high volume of people at this park. So for those particular reasons, I will not disclose the location. But if you do know, good for you, and please don't reveal in the comments. But anyways, I figured while I was here, I'm actually standing in a little tributary that will eventually feed into a larger creek nearby. But while I was meandering, I noticed two different invasive plants. One is emergent above water, and then the other one is underwater. So without further ado, here we go. So I'm sure you noticed a bunch of these right here. Well, that's our first invasive plant that I want to point out. That is known as Wild Taro, or Taro, but not like tarot cards. Rather, Wild Taro was introduced mostly from India and Southeast Asia to be used as a food source because they produce extensive roots. Now, the thing is, it is oftentimes confused with elephant's ear, but they're not the same thing, even though they both fall within the Arums, which is a classification for a group of plants. Now, to tell a difference between Wild Taro and elephant's ear is to look at the leaf itself. So as you can see right here, so you see that dot that I'm pointing my finger at? This is a petiole. So it's essentially where the stem meets at the base of a leaf. Now, with elephant's ear, this V shape that you're looking at, it meets directly with the point. Whereas with Wild Taro, on the other hand, you actually have this little gap right here where you have a little bit of the leaf flesh. Unlike elephant's ear, this is completely absent. So right there is how you can tell a difference. And they do love water, so you will always see them inhabiting waterways. Now, the second invasive that I want to point out to you guys is these. Hopefully the water clears up. You guys see this? Underwater? This is known as Hydrilla. Now, Hydrilla is one of the worst invasives found in the state. It was introduced back in the 1800s, and its native range is mostly Africa and other parts of Southeast Asia. It seems to be that's where a lot of invasives come from. But the thing is, they can grow as much as an inch per day. So they grow rapidly. But they do pose a problem in our waterways. One thing is, since they can grow so extensively, they can basically block out sunlight for our aquatic organisms and even other native aquatic plants. So, yeah, they block sunlight, and since Hydrilla also requires oxygen, they will tend to hog that up quite a bit. And so, that's another problem that they do pose. And for another, when they do decay, they basically double or triple the amounts of detritus that is in a waterway, more than what the waterway can handle at once. And because of that matter, whenever there's extensive rain, it is much more prone to experiencing extensive flooding, for that matter. So, in other words, do not cultivate these. It's illegal. And a good way that you can tell that it is hydrilla is looking at the leaves. You probably can't quite see it just because this camera is not really good at that while filming. But the small leaves have serrated margins, which is just a fancy word of saying they have a sharp edge that look like teeth. And so that is essentially how you can identify. And they do have a rhizomatic root system. And so that means spread so easily. They make it seem effortless. So, and given their versatility, they can inhabit waterways as shallow as this, which is not even a foot high. Or they can inhabit deeper waterways and grow as much as 35 feet in height. They're insane. So, bottom line is, do not cultivate these. And of course, management is still trying to be figured out, just because both of these invasives that I've pointed out are extremely hard to remove. So, it's one of those things, like, sure, you could get rid of it, but, you know, there's always risk of the fact that it could reintroduce itself. So, alright, you guys, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and Journey on a Journey is onwards. Take care, folks. See ya.